Welcome back to the channel. This will be the transfer tips for Gameweek 13 as the focus shifts from UCL Fantasy to FPL. After extensive coverage for Matchday 5, it's all about Gameweek 13 now, and if you want to see a best free hit squad, wildcard team, my own team selection and the predicted lineups, then let me know down in the comment section below. Drop a like on this video, subscribe to my channel, and also hit the notification bell so you're always up to date on my content for both fantasy formats, which I'll cover until the end of the season. And you can see the most transferred in players at this point of the game week on screen. Igor Thiago is top, and he went up in price a couple of days ago to 6.5 million. Eze, Munoz, Timber and Minter are also in the top 5. Some of these players I've already covered in previous Transfer Tips podcasts. The same goes for wildcard videos as well, and a few of them will be covered today and also in future videos to come. So keep your eyes peeled for that and all the other content. There will be a deadline stream on Saturday, and I hope to have you on board for that as we hit 38,000 subscribers very soon. Check all the links in the description for my Patreon and the championships. For access to my videos, proud to add to comments, amongst many other perks. My Discord server, the FPL League and Spotify can also be found in the description. But without further ado, let's jump straight into it. There's no better place to start this week than with Igor Thiago, who is the most transferred in player of the game week. He costs 6.5 million now. We could see yet another price rise before the Game Week 13 deadline, and I would expect his ownership to reach 20% by Saturday morning. He has 16% at the moment, and he's got 9 goals for the season, 0 assists, 15 big chances, and 64 FPL points. He is second for points scored amongst forwards, only behind Erling Haaland, and 3 of the next 5 look very promising against Burnley at home, Leeds, and Wolves. And of course, 2 of them are at home, but Arsenal and Tottenham away don't look as appealing, particularly Game Week 14, where you could argue Igor Thiago is benchable in such a fixture. But the fact he's on penalties always means he's got a chance of walking away from any match with a return, and he's been so consistent so far this season. He's also the closest challenger to Erling Haaland for the Golden Boot as things stand. Igor Thiago also has impressive underlying numbers, like 28 shots overall, 26 of them being inside the box, 17 shots on target, and the XG is extremely healthy at 7.4. The creativity is lacking a little bit, with only 1 big chance created, 6 key passes, and the expected assist figure is only 0.3. But you're signing Igor Thiago for the goals and penalty duties. He offers great value at 6.5 million, and I think he's going to be one of the best Camsey options for the upcoming deadline. You will see my top 10 Camsey list in future podcasts and on Saturday's deadline stream. So Igor Thiago is a resounding purchase for the weeks to come. A few weeks ago, I talked about skipping Danny Welbeck, and that was a mistake of mine because he has been so consistent ever since. He had 4 goals by that stage, and he's almost doubled his goal-scoring tally for the season with 7 at this point of the campaign. With 0 assists, the XG is exactly 5 and 53 FPL points. He might not be as impressive as Igor Thiago, and until recently, he was also notably more expensive, but now only 0.1 million separates the two, and Brighton have promising fixtures like Nottingham Forest away, West Ham at home, and Sunderland also at home over the next 5, despite the fact that Aston Villa at home and Liverpool away are also in that sort of time frame. But he will still back Danny Welbeck to score in a lot of these matches, or at least he has the capability of scoring against these opponents, and Liverpool isn't exactly the most difficult fixtures at this moment in time. Welbeck's ownership is also 10.1%. He costs 6.6 million, but we could see a price rise before the Game Week 13 deadline. His stats aren't as impressive as Igor Thiago. 8 big chances is solid, but Igor Thiago has almost double that figure. Only 18 shots with 9 of them on target, 13 shots inside the box. The XA is better than Igor Thiago with 0.56 for Danny Welbeck, but the creativity isn't great with 0 big chance created and 8 key passes. Welbeck remains a very solid option on the free hit wildcard, and he covers a range of different chip strategies. Even with normal transfers, I think Welbeck is worth the investment, but not over Igor Thiago going into Game Week 13. But Danny Welbeck remains a very solid purchase for your FPL squads, and it's between him or Minter to cover that Brighton attack. Over a month or 2 ago, I talked about buying Minter and adding him to the watch list, and I think it's a really good time to purchase Minter in the midfield, but I would prioritize Danny Welbeck if you also have a gap in the forward line, because I would favour him over the next 5 fixtures over Minter. He also has more sustainable underlying numbers, and Minter has been very impressive this season with defensive contributions, which he has scored on a few occasions, and he's got 7 fantasy assists, but a lot of them have come from block shots, and he only has 1 goal for the campaign, but he remains a massive differential with 6.4% ownership and the price tag is 6.1 million, but he has increased quite steadily, and I think we could see another price rise fairly soon. He has 61 FPL points for the season, promising fixtures on the whole, and even against Liverpool away, I think Brighton could cause some damage. Mint has 20 shots overall, only 4 on target, so that goes to show how unsustainable, and to be fair, he only has 1 goal anyway, but you don't really expect such an upturn in his goal-scoring form, despite having a decent number of shots inside the box. The XG is only 2.28, the XA is 1.81, so there's a massive overperformance when it comes to the creativity. 2 big chances, 5 big chance created is solid, and 21 key passes, but I think Minter is a good option in the midfield, and if you are looking for that sort of differential with promising fixtures, Minter will tick all the boxes, but I wouldn't be in a rush to buy him necessarily for Gameweek 13 against Nottingham Forest away, and moving forwards, I think there are other options to consider for your FPL squad. One of those midfielders could be Eze, who scored a hat-trick in the North London derby, the first Arsenal or Spurs player to do so in almost 50 years of that fixture, but buying him in against Chelsea away doesn't seem right. There's also Aston Villa away over the next 3 game weeks, so Arsenal have some tough fixtures still on the horizon. Even Brentford at home and Everton away won't be the easiest of games, but Arsenal are favourites to win virtually every single one of these matches. Chelsea is the one that you could see them dropping points in, but I think Aston Villa is going to be very tough there in Gameweek 15 as well. Wolves at home certainly appeals, and that's where you'd want 2 or 3 Arsenal players, and a free hit could also work very well in such a game week. But Eze now has 4 goals for the season. All of them came against Crystal Palace and Tottenham Hotspur. 3 assists and 31 shots. We always get good shot volume from Eze. 61 FPL points, of course, took a massive boost with that 20-pointer in the North London derby, and his ownership is soaring. It's currently at 15.1%, and he went up in price overnight, so on Monday night going into Tuesday morning, to 7.7 million. Now, if we look at his underlying numbers, 12 shots on target, 21 shots inside the box, 2.53 XG. They're all decent numbers, but I think there is an overperformance there when it comes to the goal scoring and creativity, because the XA is only 1.41, and he's had 0 big chances this season with 2 big chances created and 6 key passes. So some of those numbers are quite poor, but Eze is a quality finisher, and he offers that sort of match-winning quality, which has gained Arsenal plenty of points against Man City, Crystal Palace, and Tottenham Hotspur. So I think Eze is a hold, and despite his heroics over the weekend, I think Chelsea away will be a much tougher proposition. According to several reports, Antoine Semenyo was ill over the weekend, so he couldn't even have tests on his ankle to determine the severity of the injury, because he was in a race against time to be available against West Ham back in Gameweek 12, but I would still expect him to be in that starting 11 against Sunderland, assuming that he recovers from that illness and they have those tests and things show up positive. But I couldn't really guarantee you anything at this stage, and if you don't have Antoine Semenyo, as I said in the previous transfer tips, I would not be buying him in. But for those that have a lot of value tied up in the Ghanaian, I think it's worth holding him in that sort of scenario. His price tag is 8 million at the time of this recording, but it will go down to 7.9 million according to several websites like livefpl.net, which is very reliable when it comes to predicting price changes, and his ownership is decreasing. It's currently at 57.3% with 6 goals and 4 assists for the season. The XGI is 5.21, and he massively overperformed in the first couple of game weeks of the campaign. 75 FPL points means he's still top of the midfield charts when it comes to FPL points, and some of the upcoming fixtures are decent on paper against Sunderland, Everton, and Burnley, and even fixtures against Chelsea and Man United aren't too shabby. Semenyo has 23 shots overall, 19 inside the box, which is the same as Minter, 14 shots on target. The XG is 4.71, so that's relatively healthy, but the creativity is down from last season, only 0.5 when it comes to expected assists, 0 big chance created, but 8 big chances looks much more promising, and 11 key passes isn't too shabby. So I think Antoine Semenyo is a hold for those that have a lot of value tied up in him, like myself. But if that's not the case for you, I'd be more keen on selling him to other midfielders like Eze and the other midfielders I've discussed in this video and in the wildcard squad coming up. Moises Caicedo was benched against Burnley, and that will be very important for him when he's got fixtures against Barcelona on Tuesday night and also Arsenal over the weekend. So that's a massive week for Chelsea, who are currently second in the Premier League table, and Caicedo has gotten 2 rests now in this campaign, whilst he started every single match last season in the Premier League. His ownership is 23.1%, the price tag is 6.1 million, and those fixtures are awful on paper against Arsenal, Bournemouth, and Newcastle, but I think that will play into Caicedo's hands when it comes to defensive contributions. He has 135 for the season, so he does lead the way amongst midfielders with 3 goals and 1 assist, which has been a massive boost to his FPL credentials. He has 60 FPL points, and his previous best was 98 in the last campaign, so we are seeing a massive improvement in terms of his FPL output, and the DEFCON system has certainly helped him in that regard. Only 10 shots for the season, 4 on target, 2 shots inside the box, and all the numbers are very poor. The XG is 0.57, the XA is 0.86, with 1 big chance and 1 big chance created. 6 key passes is a little bit better, but still not quite good enough, especially when compared to his teammate Enzo Fernandez. But Caicedo has a brilliant shot on him from outside the box. He is amazing at defensive contributions, and he will be very important in those big games, particularly at the weekend against Arsenal. So I think he's worth holding in a lot of scenarios, but he's not someone I'd want to start week in, week out over the next 5 game weeks. Joao Pedro is still on the podium of the highest scoring forwards in Fantasy Premier League with 60 points. His ownership is still relatively high at 47.2%, but it has decreased significantly over the past month. His price tag is 7.5 million, and despite some recent returns, he blanked against Burnley and was booked, so he delivered 1 point on that occasion, and we could see the odd rotation for these Chelsea players, particularly in Gameweek 14, and that's another reason why Caicedo would also be a sell in certain situations, although I think he's worth holding as your 5th midfielder. But up front, I think Mateta and Igor Thiago would be great replacements for Joao Pedro. Erling Haaland goes without saying, of course, but 4 goals and 3 assists isn't too shabby from the Brazilian, but I still think there are better forwards, more consistent goal scorers anyway, who can take up your forward line to another level. He has 12 bonus points for the season. His underlying numbers are decent, but nothing spectacular. 21 shots overall, 10 on target, 16 shots inside the box. The XG is 3.88, so that is matching his goal tally. The XA, though, is 0.81, with 7 big chances, 4 big chance created, and 15 key passes. So despite having a strong start to the season, that sort of 5 game spell where he blanked obviously put a lot of people off from Joao Pedro. He then went on to return in 2 consecutive games against Tottenham Hotspur and Wolves, but I think will be fairly inconsistent over the course of the season. He is a big game player though. I could see him performing against Arsenal, Bournemouth and Newcastle. Not necessarily in all of them, but he can have that sort of ability to win points and matches on his own, but I don't think he's worth keeping in the long term, and his ceiling will be much lower compared to Mateta and Igor Thiago. If you are looking for a massive differential in the midfield who is showing great form, Morgan Gibbs-White would definitely pique your interest with returns in the last 3 Premier League matches. He scored in that 3-0 win at Anfield over the weekend, and the next couple of fixtures look decent for Nottingham Forest against Brighton, Wolves, Everton, Tottenham and Fulham, with 3 of them being away from home, and Gibbs-White has 3 goals and 1 assist this season, and all of those goals came in the last 3 game weeks, but only 1 big chance created and 48 FPL points. I mean, the FPL points tally isn't too shabby. That has definitely increased over the last couple of weeks, but the creativity is certainly not where it should be, especially compared to last season. 27 shots, though, is very impressive. Only 9 of them have been on target, and 16 shots inside the box is solid for Morgan Gibbs-White. The XG is 2.79, but the XA is 1.01 with 3 big chances and 10 key passes. So I'm quite surprised when looking at these stats, because normally Gibbs-White offers more creativity and he'll be at least creating some big opportunities or just key passes in general. He's not really doing that right now, but Gibbs-White could be someone to add to the watch list fairly soon. I'd be more keen on the Nottingham Forest defenders like Murillo, who also scored against Liverpool on Saturday, but ultimately I think Morgan Gibbs-White is a skip for the time being. Another in-form midfielder is Harvey Barnes, who scored against Brentford to give Newcastle the lead, and they ended up losing that game 3-1. He missed an open goal against Man City, but made up for it with a brace to win Newcastle all 3 points. But Anthony Gordon is available, and he will feature in the Champions League later today. And this video is recorded on Tuesday, and it will be released earlier for channel members and patrons as usual. But Harvey Barnes has 3 goals for the season, and of course all of them came in the last 2 matches. His ownership is so low at 0.6%. So if you are fancying a Newcastle midfielder and want a differential, then Harvey Barnes could be appealing option anyway, but I don't think he's worth it. There's actually another midfielder I'd look at from the same team. He costs 6.3 million with only 6 shots on target and 39 FPL points. Newcastle will face Everton away, Tottenham and Burnley at home, followed by Sunderland away and Chelsea at home. So the fixtures are quite mixed bag, but I think Nick Voltemada is a hold in a lot of situations still, despite the fact that I prefer Mateta and Igor Thiago. And in the midfield, I think Harvey Barnes is maybe decent and he will have the odd return here and there, but you will get a lot of inconsistencies from him, not just when it comes to the output, but also with the minutes, especially with Anthony Gordon set to return very soon. So I think Harvey Barnes is worth skipping. And if you want a midfielder from Newcastle, I think Bruno Guimaraes is the one. Over the past couple of deadline streams, I have been asked questions about Bruno Guimaraes, and slowly but surely I've been warming up to the idea, and he's got 3 goals and 4 assists for the season, a decent number of defensive contributions with 97 and 60 FPL points. He's a massive differential with 3.8% ownership, and he costs 6.6 million. He is the one Newcastle player I'd be targeting right now. I still like Nick Voltemada up front. Defensively, you might also want to go for Nick Pope in goal, but I'm less keen on that right now. Dan Burn is back from suspension, but I wouldn't be buying him in for Gameweek 13, so I think Bruno Guimaraes would be the standout with 15 shots overall, only 4 on target, 7 shots inside the box. The XG is exactly 2, and the XA, expected assists, is 1.12, with 4 big chances, 0 big chance created, and 16 key passes. But Bruno Guimaraes is a complete midfielder, one of the very best in the Premier League, and he just pushes Newcastle to victories at times and gets them very crucial points on the road. So Bruno Guimaraes for me is someone to add to the watch list, and if you want that differential, then he should certainly be considered on the wild card and with free transfers. Not necessarily on the free hit though. I don't think his ceiling against Everton is particularly high on paper, and that could be a low scoring game in general. But Bruno Guimaraes has many routes to points. He doesn't really offer that consistency when it comes to goal output, but he will give you goals and assists when you least expect him to, and I think he's worth adding to the watch list as a result. Gameweek 13 is very awkward in terms of buying Arsenal and Chelsea players, and if you are wildcarding this week, you might be quite keen on avoiding these players who are having such a massive clash at the top of the Premier League table. But Leandro Trossard has been very impressive over the past month or two. He has cemented himself as the starting left winger for Arsenal whilst Gabriel Martinelli was injured. The Brazilian is back and we could see the minutes being managed a little bit more, but Trossard will start the Premier League matches. Martinelli will probably be favoured in the Champions League, and facing Chelsea and Aston Villa away over the next 3, Trossard is one of the most likely to score in those games and give Arsenal those crucial goals, because since he joined in January of 2023 for only 25 million, he has been an outstanding signing. Off the bench, he usually makes a bigger impact, and as a starter, he has struggled to really give in consistent performances, but he has done that recently against Sunderland. We saw that against Tottenham Hotspur with a goal and assist, and he scores so many crucial goals. Sometimes it puts Arsenal ahead, or he scores the equaliser. And even in the so-called big games against the big 6, Trossard will step up time after time again. He has 3 goals and 3 assists so far this season in the Premier League, with 11 key passes and 52 FPL points. He's averaging over 5 per game, and in those big matches, I think Trossard could be the one to step up for Arsenal. He has 16 shots overall, 6 on target, 14 inside the box, so these numbers aren't particularly great, and we want to see him have more shots on target, of course. The XG is only 1.89, and the XA is 1.23, with 4 big chances, only 1 big chance created, so I think the numbers aren't particularly great for Trossard, but he is clinical, and he is one of the lethal finishers in the Arsenal team. So I think Trossard should be added to the watch list, but like most Arsenal assets this week, I would probably not buy them in Gameweek 13 and instead wait for better opportunities like Gameweek 16 when they host Wolves in a couple of weeks' time. Many FPL managers might want to target Wolves this week despite their new appointment of Rob Edwards as their manager, and Morgan Rogers is off the back of a brace against Leeds. He's got Wolves at home next, and you would fancy him to get a few returns there. He's got 2 assists in 3 matches against Wolves throughout his career, and both of them came in a single home match very recently. He has 3 goals and 2 assists for this season, and the XA is 0.86, which is quite poor to be honest, and 50 FPL points is identical to Leandro Trossard. Rogers will go up in price to 6.9 million very soon, and Aston Villa will play Brighton away after that Wolves fixture, followed by Arsenal at home, West Ham away, and Man United at home. Now, Rogers won't be anything spectacular when it comes to the underlying numbers, with 15 shots, 8 on target, 9 shots inside the box. The XG, of course, is 0.89. That's very similar to the expected assist figure. 1 big chance and 4 big chance created with 12 key passes, but Rogers is my favourite Aston Villa asset in the long term. You might have Matty Cash in that defensive line. Emi Martinez will be very appealing on the free hit, and between the sticks, I think he's a decent goalkeeper. and he might be your best way of covering Aston Villa defensively. Buendia is in great form overall, and Ollie Watkins has been shambolic this season, but he could produce a big return against Wolves at home coming up. So if you are looking for a one-week punt, I think Morgan Rogers is one of the very best in the midfield, and even longer term, he could fit a lot of different chip strategies and be a solid midfielder for you if he shows that consistency, which he did last season. But it has taken him a while to get back up to speed in this Premier League campaign. But Aston Villa are in the top 4 right now, and despite having a few tricky fixtures over the next 5, they could get some crucial points and continue rising up the Premier League table. It's time to highlight the most sold players at this point of the game week. Gabriel, Semenyo, João Pedro, Caicedo and Kudus make up the top 5, and the likes of Mateta and Salah are also right up there. Both of them are clear holds in my opinion, especially Mateta, who offers great value with incredible underlying numbers. Despite that early substitution against Wolves, and he was only a few seconds away from getting the appearance point, he got 1 point there, missed a big chance in such a plum fixture, but he still has good fixtures overall, and he's got the form, he's got a bit of everything there as an FPL asset, and only the likes of Igor Thiago look more appealing this week, and also Erling Haaland amongst forwards. But after discussing 12 players to buy, hold, sell and skip, with a few to add to the watch list and a one-week punt in Morgan Rogers, it's all said and done. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below, and thank you very much for watching this video and listening to this podcast. If you enjoyed it or find insightful, then like this video, subscribe to my channel, and also hit that notification bell so you're always up to date on my content, both FPL and UCL Fantasy, which I'll cover until the end of the season. Let's get this video to over 100 likes and closing on new goals like 38k on YouTube. Follow me on X, Instagram and Blue Sky, Dylan RCM, and check all the links in the description for my Patreon and the championships, fair likes to my videos, proud to add to comments amongst many other perks, my Discord server, the FPL League and Spotify can also be found in the description. I'll see you on Saturday for the next FPL deadline stream, and keep your eyes peeled for more FPL content.